wooden supports can never get rotten in here. They just stay petrified and salt as salt penetrates this wood. And with time, such pieces of wood become as solid as a rock, whereas metal supports are of no use because of corrosion, which is much faster down here than on the surface. Down here, we have no bacteria, we have no insects, there's no form of life at the mine whatsoever. So there's nothing to eat the wood. So now you know where all the forests from around Krakow are. Down here. For good.
Heel hard. Vind ik een watervee. De beste manier om alles,
Zo besteld als je te bieden.
Ja. Je hebt alle bossen met Krakow, een beetje meer.
Ja, ja.
Ladies and gentlemen, this Ladies and gentlemen, this chamber is dedicated to our great Polish astronomer Nicholas Copernicus. He visited this mine in 1493. At that time he was only 20. He was a student of the Jagiellonian University in Krakow, and since he was interested in science, he wanted to see rock salt exploitation. So he asked the King of Poland to grant him permission to see the site, as back then this place was the property of the kings and queens of Poland. With the king's permission, he came here, he saw the salt deposit and the methods of exploitation, and then he reported his visit to his future students. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1973, which was exactly 500 years after, just a minute, please.
Na Pikachu za przestrzeni wieku w wielickiej kopalni było około 40. Dlaczego ich było tak dużo? Na to pytanie odpowie nam następca kaplicy. Dzieci wiedzą wszystko co to jest legenda, prawda? Wiedzą co to legenda? To szczera prawda, tylko trochę ubogacona. A czy znacie legendę jak 7
And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first chapel for you to see dedicated to Saint Anthony. He's the patron saint of people who are looking for something. So that's why miners used to pray in this chapel a lot.
Wiernią sobie.
Ladies and gentlemen, these sculptures here illustrate a legend. A legend about the origins of rock salt under our town. And this legend is about real people. So this woman you can see over there was a real Hungarian princess. Her name was Kinga, and she lived at the beginning of the 13th century. Kinga got engaged to the Polish Prince of Krakow. They were going to get married, so she wanted to take something with her. Just a short stop here to show you what happens with those wooden beams with time and under higher moisture and humidity. As I said before, they turn into solid rock. You can hear them knock. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you before that the miners used to grade at this mine to find good quality salt. Actually, they prayed even more for safety. It was a very dangerous place, not only because it was hard work and the tools were very primitive but sharp, but there were also lots of dangers involved, like collapses that used to happen in the past from time to time, not too frequently though, not as frequently, for example, as in coal mines, yet you can see the problem illustrated with those two crooked poles over there. And there was another thing in this mine, even worse, and that was gas, methane, methane in other languages, extremely dangerous because it's highly explosive. And when you think about this, the oldest method of transporting salt were actually these sledges over there. You can see two of them, and notice please the big barrel on the first one over there. Filled with salt, this barrel would be 280 kilograms of weight. So pulling such sledges was a real challenge. It was only in the 18th century that those boxes and trolleys were introduced. So they had metal wheels, as you can see, so the job was much easier then. Yet when the metal wheels were turning, the sound was terrible. People said it was like barking, so they named these dogs for the reason. So as you can see, we had these dogs, but we also had horses. And the first horses were taken down the mine at the beginning of the 16th century, simply tied to a rope in a harness and just lowered all the Anna's level. And that is why, once a horse was successfully brought down the mine, it had to stay here for good, rather than be taken up and down